I'm going to get started. Let me start off by introducing myself. My name is Emily Olzak. I'm a Senior Assistant Director of Admissions at Niagara University. Thank you again for joining us this evening. We want to make this a very informational and casual conversation. So please feel free to type questions as things come up that you're asking and want to know more about into the chat box. If you feel comfortable by speaking up, please feel free to do so. So a few things, again, if you haven't already, please put your name and your high school and the major you're thinking of, as well as keep yourself on mute until question and answer. Again, raise your hand, whatever you want to do. Don't be shy. And if not, if you are shy, feel free to just type your questions in the chat box. So I am going to turn it over to Dr. Butera, who will discuss a little bit more about the STEM majors. Thanks, Dr. Butera.
All right. Thanks, Emily. Welcome to all the students. I really want to thank you for taking time out of your afternoon for joining us for our Zoom meeting to learn more about our STEM majors housed in the College of Arts and Sciences. As Emily said, I'm Dr. Butera, Dean of the College of Arts and Sciences, but most of my career here at Niagara has been as a professor in our psychology department. So most of my career doing neuroscience and teaching and research. So if there's any psychology related questions, I can certainly handle those in addition to more, general arts and sciences related questions. I'd like to get our program started by providing kind of a brief overview of the College of Arts and Sciences and highlight some key aspects of STEM education here at Niagara. College of Arts and Sciences, we're home to about 1,200 undergraduate students. We have 98 full-time faculty, and my office works very hard to create relationships with our students to help them successfully manage their educational career, their college experience, and graduate in 4 years, that is. We offer 35 undergraduate majors. We have over 50 academic minors, and we have 3 master's programs in criminal justice administration, interdisciplinary studies, now with the concentration in social justice, as well as cybersecurity and operations. I guess that's the only STEM graduate program, right, of those 3. Our STEM majors include biology, chemistry and biochemistry, environmental science, computer and information science, mathematics, and psychology. So why all the talk? Why all the buzz about STEM? Well, the United States and really indeed the entire world has long recognized the importance of STEM education as societies became more dependent on technology and science. STEM education fosters critical thinking skills, quantitative and analytical skills, information literacy, and in some cases, highly technical skills. These skills, whether they're cognitive skills or technical skills in the laboratory, are especially valuable in today's world. As you know, we're literally inundated on a daily basis with information and misinformation about COVID-19 and other threats to public health and to our environment. Being able to sift through all that information, being able to determine what's true, what's not true, is important for an educated citizenry and vital to become a critical consumer of information, which you're going to become after your 4 years at Niagara. Speaking of COVID-19 and STEM, I've got a question for you. There are 2 vaccines now that have been approved for treatment of COVID-19. Both of those vaccines use a technique that's never been done before to create a vaccine. It's a technique that uses blank technology. Fill in the blank and in the chat box if you want. Here at NU, we have what others and I like to refer to as STEAM, not STEM. Now, as I'm sure many of you know, the A in STEAM refers to the arts. And at Niagara, we break down the separation of science and art. We have what I like to refer to as the art of science and the science of art. That said, we incorporate the arts and the humanities into our students' education, including students in our STEM majors. So at Niagara, the appropriate acronym for these fields of study is STEAM, not STEM. Now, one of the hallmarks of the College of Arts and Sciences, and our students may speak about this, I'm not sure, is the involvement of undergraduate students in research with a faculty member in their department. So my office collects data on graduating seniors every year, and each year about over 60% of our graduating seniors in arts and sciences report that they completed research with a faculty member, and that number is even higher for students in our STEM majors that I noted above. Many of those students will go on to present the results of their research at regional and international scientific conferences. And that presenting your research at a conference, whether it's a regional conference, an international conference, that can be an incredibly enriching and rewarding experience for an undergraduate student. And again, some of our students here today may speak to some of that if they had those experiences, or they certainly will before they leave. This afternoon, we're joined by Dr. Cassie Marnaka, assistant professor in our biology department, along with Jaden Wagner, Brendan Diekoff, and Brianna Kehoe, students majoring in biology and chemistry, to talk about their experiences in the classroom, the research lab, and what makes those experiences unique to Niagara University. And of course, we'll also be on the call to handle questions that you all have, whether it's about the STEM majors or other things that are on your mind, or the answer to that COVID vaccine question. So I'm going to turn things over to Dr. Marnaka and our group of students.
All right, thank you, Dr. Butera. So like Dr. Butera said, my name is Cassie Marnaka. I'm an assistant professor in the Department of Biology. My area of research interests, and I suppose teaching interests, is in environmental science and microbiology. I'm an environmental microbiologist, so I study microbiology of water and soil and rocks and things like that. Generally stuff that does not make you sick is usually the way that I describe it. But I'm interested in how microbes help shape the environment. They are not visible to us, but they have a tremendous role in nutrient cycling and how ecosystems function and things like that. So this is my fifth year at Niagara. And one of the things, and I always use that as a reason to talk up Niagara, because I haven't been here long enough for it to be for Niagara to be great because of me. So what I like to say is that, you know, one of the things that really drew me to Niagara was that it was a small school, and they really, when they said they did research with students and they prioritized research, they really meant it. I feel so fortunate as a faculty member for the amount of resources and time I have available to do research. It's one of my favorite parts of my job, is working with students to do research. And sometimes that's a student that is working in my lab, and sometimes that's trying to incorporate research in my actual courses. So I teach an upper level environmental microbiology course. When we teach that course, we go out in the field a couple times to collect samples. Last year, when I taught it, we went out to the Iroquois National Wildlife Refuge, which if some of you are local may know where that is. I have a major research project out there, but I brought my students out. We were able to collect samples. They were able to isolate organisms. They were able to name their organisms that they had encountered in the environment, characterize them, and really do a full, in the course of the semester, do a full independent research project. And like I said, I also have research students. Brendan is one of my research students. He can talk about, I'll let him talk about what he does in the lab. But that's been a really fulfilling opportunity for me to be able to help develop, help nurture and develop students as they become scientists, and help them figure out what they really want to do. I've got, trying to think of how many, I think I've got 4 students currently that have been in my lab that are now in PhD programs. So I've got a decent track record, I feel like. I don't know how I'll be able to maintain it, but I've got it's always the really exciting part of my job is, bittersweet to say goodbye to my students that have been in the lab working with me for the years, and then to see them go on and do really amazing things. So I think that's one of the cool parts of Niagara is I know I've attended enough schools and I've worked at enough schools to know that not all of them are like NU, and this sort of small community that still has a big research component, especially for STEM majors, I think is a super exciting part of being part of NU. But I'll pass it along to the students then, if they'd like to talk.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you, Dr. Manaka. Brendan, why don't you discuss a little bit about you and what you're interested in studying, and also the research opportunities that Dr. Manaka was talking about.
Sure. So my name is Brendan Diekoff. I'm a third-year biology student. I'm working towards chemistry minor as well. And I work with Dr. M in her research lab. And I would certainly say that Dr. M does make Niagara University great. But Niagara University is great without her as well. But she's been here for 5 years, and she's certainly made my experience great. So I started working with her on her Iroquois National Wildlife Refuge project. And for that, we look at a really unique environment that is within the wetlands, and it is a acidic sulfur spring. And my research focuses on the microbial community in that spring, specifically one of the bacteria that lives within it, and what interesting things that's going on in there that allows it to live and allows it to be different from something that you would find somewhere else around the world. In the lab, my work is primarily composed of culturing the bacteria, and right now trying to optimize its growth so we can do some more intensive experiments on its genetic makeup and how it will grow and optimize its environment in different types of conditions. I started working with Dr. Manaka my second semester, my freshman year, and getting started early is really important. And there's really good opportunities to do that here at Niagara University, since we're such a small institution. And regardless of where you are in your college experience, you will be able to contact a professor and they will be happy to help you and really get to teach you so much. I've learned more in the lab with Dr. Manaka than I probably have in any of my coursework and about microbiology specifically. And that's just because it's such a hands-on experience, and it really sticks with me so much more than reading from a textbook. And I could read about all this, these techniques, these lab techniques, what is going on in microbiology in a textbook, but really doing it is what solidifies it in your head. And that is going to be really important going forward for my education. I think that's all I really have for now.
Thanks, Brendan. Bree, do you want to chime in and talk about your experience and what you're majoring in and everything?
Yeah, sure. So my name is Brianna. I am a senior chemistry major here. I'll be graduating in the spring, so that's very exciting. I currently do research with Dr. Sanchez here. So he's the mainly organic chemistry professor here. So I do organic chemistry related research, which sounds intimidating to a lot of people. Organic chemistry is usually their least favorite chemistry. But I really enjoy the lab. But one of the cool experiences that I got, like outside of just research work that Brendan kind of touched on, was that the professors here help you with connections. Like there's a lot of connections out there. So I was able to actually get an internship with the Niagara County Forensic Lab. So I have a minor in forensic science. So I was able to do a semester-long internship with the Niagara County Forensic Lab, and there I got to learn about arson, ballistics, and drug chemistry, and it was truly one of the most amazing experiences of my life. I got to sit in on a court case to see how it all goes down and how you might have to potentially like testify with your lab results and that kind of thing. So I think the professors here are just great resources for you. They really do care about you. All you have to do is really ask, and they will do whatever they can to help to see you succeed. And a lot of them worked in the field before they came here to teach, or they still work in the field and teach. So, those connections are there outside of just doing research. If maybe research isn't what you're really interested in. You know, you're interested in whatever it may be, you can go out there and get an internship in that if you just talk to these professors, because chances are they have connections. Like, even if it's not their specialty, they probably know someone. They went to school with tons of people, or grad school with these people, worked in a PhD program with these people. So I can't emphasize enough just utilizing these resources, because that internship is truly what made me love it here at Niagara, love my degree, and really know that like I'm on the right track. And like Brendan kind of said, it's never too early to start research or to start internships or to start asking about these things, because that's how, you know, you really become confident in your abilities, and it makes all your hard work worth it. You know, you kind of really know you're where you're meant to be and you're in the right place.
No pressure. What is your plan after graduation? What do you know yet?
No, my plan is to start applying over winter break. We take a career prep class. We call it career seminar here. So I have my resume and everything put together. So now it's just a matter of putting them in. But I either plan on working, I kind of, just because of the need right now, I kind of have interest in working in like a hospital lab, running like lab samples, tox samples, that kind of thing. But I'm definitely going to still apply to a bunch of forensics labs, because that was truly just an absolutely amazing experience that I had in the forensic lab.
That's awesome. Thanks, Bree. Okay,
Yeah.
Jaden, you're next. Last but not least.
All right. Hi, everybody. My name's Jaden. I'm a sophomore chemistry major with a minor American Sign Language. I am also in a research lab as well. I'm with Dr. McCourt and Dr. Milnecki. They are both two chemistry professors, and they are incredible. We actually work on a drug delivery system. It's actually a cholesterol liposome, and it actually can carry different molecules and antibiotics and stuff like that to different parts of the body. So we are working on like Alzheimer's. We are also working on COVID with that as well. And we also partner with a lab in Buffalo, which is really cool. And I started just this past semester, actually. I started kind of in the summer, and it's just been incredible so far. I'm still doing my training, so I'm not doing really much. I'm mostly just observing and going to meetings and stuff. But it's just so cool to almost do something that's bigger than yourself, kind of. Like you're doing it for yourself, but you're also like, by the time a lot of our students actually publish in like national conferences, and they publish their work into the science community, which if you're able to do that before graduate school or med school or something like that, it just boosts you up like all the way. If you're trying to go for that extra step, like research here is just incredible. All the professors want you to join the research too. So it's like really easy. You can really just go up to them, be like, hey, can you talk to me about your research? They'll talk to you for hours and on end because they love it. And if you want to join it, they'll be happy to take you. And it's just another thing that's outside of the classroom. So you kind of feel more involved in the community as well with it, which is really cool. Along with like our clubs too, like our American Chemical Society club and our bio club too, and our cybersecurity club, like all of them also have professors like in your field. So like you really get to know them on a personal level, which honestly really brings you with that good communication skills and stuff like that as well. All of my professors are there to help all the time. They make themselves available throughout like all the weekends and stuff. And as long as you try hard and you like reach out to them, they will help you. They want you to succeed. They want you to do well in the program. Like STEAM majors are really hard. Like, I'm not gonna lie, they are hard, but your professors are there to help you, which is such a big thing, is that they're here to help you. They want you to succeed. And it's just a great time. I enjoy every single second that I'm here, so.
Thanks, Jaden. I think that again is one of the benefits, even speaking on behalf of myself, even working at Niagara, the community, the sense of community, everybody is willing to help no matter what. And that's what our goal is, right? We're all in this together. So, you know, speaking of Jaden, you did mention just now that, you know, being in STEM majors are hard, right? It's a lot of work. So I want to throw some questions out there to you guys, and the students who are on, please feel free to type in the questions, any questions you have in the chat box. But what is some advice that you could give the current students who are in high school right now? I'll throw this out to all of you, and to prepare for college level coursework, or what they should be thinking about. Any advice that you could give these, you know, students that are in in our group here today?
Yeah, for sure. For me, at least, the two big things is time management and communication, honestly. If college is a lot of like being on your own and kind of figuring stuff out like yourself. So you keep track of all of your assignments. Your syllabi are going to be your best friend. Like you need to have your syllabi. It literally says everything that's going on that semester and like what it's worth, when it's going to be, when that project is due, when that exam is happening. So if you are able to manage your time really well, then you will do well, because it's just managing, okay, which one's the priority right now, like which one's coming before, like starting your projects early, even though sometimes you are cramming for that exam, but it's really just, and reaching out if you need help, because that's also another thing too with like a lot of college students. Sometimes they feel that they can only do it themselves, that they are alone in the entire thing. They should know it. It's like their interest. Like, why aren't they getting it? Why don't they understand it? But you have to accept that you might need help. So going into Academic Success Center, getting a tutor for your class, like doing a study group, going to your professor, going to their office hours, like just reaching out saying, hey, I need help. That's also another thing too, I feel. Those two big ones are probably going to be your best friend.
Thank you. Does anyone else have any advice they would like to share with these current students?
I have a couple of things.
Sure.
So something that was really helpful for me, especially my freshman year, was studying with a group of friends. And that really helped get so many different perspectives on the coursework that we were working on. And not only was I able to help some of my friends solidify some of the concepts that they didn't understand, but they also helped me right back. And having a group of people that are able to study with you is super important, especially like the week before the test. I also recommend studying early. I'm not the best at that, but you know, if I always want to, but that is a key factor in making sure that you know the information that's going to be on the test. And also, don't be afraid to get a tutor. Getting a tutor doesn't mean that you're not smart. It just means that you are willing to get the help that you need. I know the smartest people I know all go to tutoring, and that's because they are really focused on making sure that they're where they need to be in terms of the coursework. And another thing, this was something that I really personally had a hard time with, is I personally in high school, I would be really torn down if I got a bad grade, and that's happened here. I've gotten a couple bad grades and it hurts. It does not feel good, but don't let that stop you. Don't let that discourage you from the next test, because you are able to recover, and it really could it's not going to kill you by no means. It's important to keep going and push to know what to really make sure that you're doing the best that you can. I saw a question specifically about sports. Now I do club volleyball, which is not as intensive as one of the D1 sports, but it's still, we do practice twice a week, not this semester, unfortunately, because of coronavirus. But yeah, so I was able to work in my schedule fairly well. I can't really speak on behalf of the D1 team, but our club sport specifically, they work around the schedule of their teammates, and I typically would have maybe a tournament every weekend or every couple weekends, and overall time management is definitely possible. I am very busy, and it's important to be busy in college, because that's really what helps you set yourself apart for future jobs. I hope that answered the sports questions best. Maybe someone else could mention that.
I think that's a great question in general, because I know even for Jaden and Bree, your guys are also tour guides on campus. So can you talk a little bit about like the involvement on campus, as well as trying to manage being a STEM major and what that looks like?
Yeah, I have a bunch of my friends that are in the same classes as me. They are like D1 athletes, and their coaches, they make sure that academics come first. So the coaches are always in communication with your professors. You have study hours that's just there for studying for your classes. They also help make your schedule around practices, so that helps too. I find that they really like the study hours because it really does make a plan for them to really study. So I personally, I am not in any sports, but I am in a sorority. I'm also in the American Chemical Society here on campus. And so like organizing and time management, it can be difficult at times, especially your first semester. It's going to be a lot of like trying to get everything to fit and making sure everything is okay, but it will be okay. Like it takes some time to get into it. But once you knock that first semester out, honestly, like you're good from there. So Bree, if you have anything else.
Yeah, I mean, she kind of hit on it. Like I play club field hockey, so same thing as Brendan, it's a club sport. You know, our practices are mainly at night, so that's really not an issue with our classes. Our games are on weekends, so like same thing. But I am an RA here on campus, so that does take up like a lot of my time. So it's kind of just being proactive. So if you know you're gonna miss class because of something, like let your professor know. It's again just like communicating with the people who need to know if you're going to miss class or something comes up. It's really just communicating with them if you need extra time or if you need extra help with something. Like just make sure you're communicating that with your professor or whoever it may be that you need to communicate with that with, because I found the more you communicate, the easier things get, no matter how hectic or crazy your schedule is, whether it's with sports or other activities. Just the key is really communicating what you need from them, and these professors or whoever it is will do their best to meet you in the middle to really help you out.
I think that's really great advice from all of you. I kind of wish I had that when I'm going to college. So a few other questions that we have coming in on the chat box. I'm so glad you guys are, thinking of things. What if students cannot get internships before college? Are there experiences that the students you guys did before entering college? Or, even, Dr. Manaka or Dr. Butera, like, do you have advice for students how they can get their feet wet, kind of, and being starting something without necessarily being an internship?
I guess I can talk a little bit about, if you're feeling unsure of sort of what field you want to get into. I don't think you have to come in directly with the experience, so I wouldn't panic. When I went to college, I was an international business major, and then I was international studies, and then I was English, and then I was archaeology, and then I was physics, and then I was like, well, I guess I need to get a career in healthcare because there's jobs there. And then I found out that you can like go outside and look at rocks and look at microbes in them, and for some reason that's what hit. I was like, okay, that's me. I'm going to go outside and I'm going to look at microbes outside. And so it used to make me panic a little bit. I remember being a student being like, oh gosh, I'm running out of general education courses. But I think that's one of the nice things about Niagara is you have this, we want you to get, it's a liberal arts university, right? So we want you to get this breadth of courses and different experiences. And when we're doing advising right now for spring semester, and I go and I scroll through the courses that are being offered, and I'm like, I wish I could take that course. I wish I could take this course. There's a course on world-shaping diseases with my colleague, Dr. Gal. I'm like, man, I want to kind of sit in on that course. There's a course on Hinduism and Buddhism, and I'm like, I would like to sit in on that course. There's a course on cults that I said I'd like to sit in on that course. All of our colleagues across the university have all of these courses that are just fascinating. And Brendan kind of talked about this, where you should be busy in college, and you should be exploring in college, and like something I didn't appreciate as a student was that in college you have just a pool of experts on all kinds of subjects, and you get to take advantage of all of these people that are interested in all sorts of different things that you'll never really have access to again unless you're like me and you just stay in college forever. But that's the really neat part, is that because we're a small school, we can offer some really fascinating courses, and it can give you that experience to say, I didn't know I would like this course. The example I always give is I took, they was kind of disparagingly called Rocks for Jocks. It was the science course in geology that they would put you in if you didn't think you wanted to be a real scientist. So I took Rocks for Jocks and I loved it. And it got me thinking about, it always kind of sat in the back of my mind of like, I kind of like geology, and now I do microbiology of rocks and micromineral interactions. And so you never know when you take those courses and when you take a general ed course, how that might sort of inform what you want to do in the future. And so it's not really a high school answer, but it's as you go into college, I think to be open-minded with those courses that you take, and that I think will really help you along the way.
Yeah, I think a lot of students get nervous that the major they pick, they have to be stuck with, or, and that's not necessarily the case. College is about exploring, and there's so many things out there that you had no idea existed. So Dr. Butera, can you talk a little bit about if the student comes in and maybe they start off as bio, but then they want to change to chemistry, is that an easy transition, or how would they go about doing that?
That's a good question. And as I mentioned at the outset, as a faculty member for probably close to 30 years, I saw my share of students that were switching out of psychology into something else, switching out of biology into psychology. So for the most part, it's a pretty seamless transition to do that. And there's a couple of benefits that Niagara has for students that are in that boat. One benefit is that we have a program called AEP, for Academic Exploration Program. Many of our students who come in fact, probably one of the largest groups of students that come in, are students who I like to refer to as, I've decided to be undecided. That's the decision that they've made. And they're not going to declare a major. They're going to decide to be undecided. And that's a great thing, because the Academic Exploration Program has very talented advisors. They've won national awards for advisement. They work real closely with the faculty to help students, navigate their way through their first year, their third semester. Then they finally say, oh yeah, I want to be a psychology major. And they might have been taking some courses in psychology or in biology or in chemistry, and so they're still on track, is what I'm saying. So AEP keeps those students focused. The other benefit is that if a student comes to meet with me and I'm their advisor, and they say, Dr. Butera, I'm not interested in psychology anymore. I think I really want to go into management and business. I don't know anything about that. What kind of advice am I going to give them about management? But what I can do is pick up the phone, because I know the faculty in management in the College of Business, and I'll sort of, clear the path for that student. Say, okay, you really want to talk to Dr. Williams over in the College of Business? I have her on the phone here, and we'll set up an appointment. So, and that's not unusual, right? So if I'm an advisor and I can't give you advice on whatever major that would be, criminal justice, a lot of psychology students will also go into criminal justice. I don't know much about that, but they're my colleagues. I know them professionally or personally, and I'll help that student out. I'll make that phone call and say, here, talk to Dr. Harmon. She's chair of criminal justice, and she can give you advice that would kind of put you on the right path.
That's perfect. Thank you. So we had another question coming in from a student asking about, are professors available to talk to outside of classes, and are they willing to talk and help students? So I think the student should be, you're the first line of defense on that. What is your opinion on that, or give some examples that you guys have had throughout the years?
Yeah, they are almost available all the time. It's crazy how available they make themselves, because again, they want to help. So every professor at Niagara is required to have office hours. So that's during regular normal class times during the week and stuff like that. Some professors even have office hours on the weekends. So my roommate, actually, she has a professor who has office hours like 7 to 9 on Sunday nights. So she can go on and like ask some questions and stuff like that. And I actually have, like, my mom is a professor at NU. So I actually have seen, like, from me growing up, she's always like on her computer, like answering students' emails, answering them about like advisement, about questions and stuff like that too. Like they take time out of their personal days even to like answer emails and stuff. and they also communicate well too. So a lot of times my one Gen Chem professor, Dr. Stoy, it was before a really big exam, and he was like, hey guys, I won't be answering emails from this time to this time, but I'll be available these times. So it gave us clarity of like when we could reach out and like when we could kind of set up our schedules. So I have not met one professor who doesn't make themselves available. So
yeah, I mean, even again, working on the admissions side, I've only heard wonderful things of even professors meeting on Sundays if need be. And I know that's unheard of in a lot of places. So we have another question in regards to, Dr. Butera, you might be able to answer this. If a student has taken like AP or dual enrollment courses, like maybe AP Calc and AP Bio, do they still have to take those classes once they get to Niagara, say, you know, in their major, or do those count towards classes?
That's a good question, and one that we hear a lot. And the short answer is that no, you don't have to take. If you have a 3, at least a 3, which I've been arguing against this since I became dean, but I think we're giving it away too much. But if you have a 3 in an AP Calc, you get credit for Calc 1 at Niagara University. Many universities, if you have a 3, you get credit, right? For a math class, you don't get credit for that subject. You need at least a 4 or a 5. But at Niagara, we're very generous. So if you get at least a 3, I guess AP Calc is probably the best example. Yeah, you don't have to take that here. Now, you may want to take that here, depending on what your major is. If you're a chemistry major, that's more of a, what I would call more of a math heavy major. You may want to do Calc 1 here. But yeah, and for AP Bio, if you're a bio major, that wouldn't transfer in as your general biology major you'll take as a freshman, right? You would get credit for that if it's at least a 3, but it would be credit for an elective rather than like specific subject credit for a general biology 1.
Perfect, thank you. And if students do have credits with a dual enrollment and through a different, 2-year school, you can send those transcripts in, and then you discuss that with your academic advisors and see where those classes fall. So I tell students, once you have completed the school year, get an official transcript, you can send it directly to the Office of Admissions. Another question, sorry, Dr. Butera, this is probably for you again. Talking about the early opportunity program in medicine for UB Medical School. Can you talk a little bit about that with, I believe it's Dr. Cliff, that he's involved in that.
Yep. So actually, we just got our official partnership with the Jacob School of Medicine in, I want to say it was May of 2019. So we're new to the game. We've also implemented, by we, I mean people like Dr. Marnaka and Dr. Glazier. Faculty have implemented, we call a early science opportunities program here at Niagara in biology and chemistry, mainly for underrepresented minority students. And that's a really cool program. We've only been able to do it twice because of COVID, but we're going to get that off the ground. The Jacob School of Medicine has an early science opportunities program for underrepresented minority students to participate in enrichment activities at UB Med School throughout their undergrad career. In fact, for the first time, we have a biology major who is applying for that program at UB School of Medicine. And I'm a member of our pre-health committee. As you said, Dr. Cliff, Cassie's colleague in the biology department, Dr. Cliff is the John J. Hughes Endowed Director of Pre-Health. So he works real closely with med schools, admissions officers, as well as our current students. So I'm really excited about having one of our biology majors apply, and I'm hoping she'll get accepted into the early science opportunities program at Jacob School of Medicine. That happens, I think, in the student's sophomore year, and then there's summer programming. They have to participate in like a summer research program at UB School of Medicine, as well as other again enrichment activities to help our underrepresented minority students get into that career field. It's woefully needed. It really is, and that's how we've been trying to sort of move that needle here at Niagara, in our STEM majors. Yeah, so I'm very excited about that.
Thank you, Dr. Butera. I have another question about to Dr. Manaka. When students decide that they want to become involved in research, is it like a 3-year commitment? Could it only be just a semester? How does that look for a student?
It's a really good question. It's variable. So I've had students that have joined me, like Brendan said, he did a rotation in my lab as part of the New Start Fellowship in freshman year, and I'm going to keep him the rest of the time that he's here. And I've had other students that have been for a semester, right? They want a little bit of research experience. Maybe they want to take it as a course, like you can get it research for credit. It's a bit more structured when you do it that way, but I've had students pop in for a semester and do a little project. I tend to encourage, if you can, to do over a longer period of time. I find that students, you can get really invested in the project. And I've been there too when I did like my postdoc, you're there for 2.5 years, and then you have to say goodbye to your project. So if you can be in there a little bit longer, you can really get into the guts of the project. You can really get a lot more depth out of it. But if for your career goals, or if you want to try it out for a semester and you're like, Dr. M stuff is cool, but it's not for me, I'm going to go try with a different professor. All of those things are very doable. It's just a matter of stopping by and saying, hey, I'm interested in research. Can we try it for a semester? What kind of projects do you have? We figure out what your goals are, what you're looking for, how much involvement, how much time you have, right? Because some students are going to want to sink in tons of time, and some students are going to say, I've got a job, but I can come in a couple hours a week, or I'm interested in shadowing another student that already has a project. So it's usually just about having that conversation with the student and saying, what are your goals? What are you interested in? What do you want to get out of this? And what kind of commitment are you able to do? And from there we can go, and it can grow and change over time as well.
Perfect, thank you. Does anybody else have any questions that they want to ask the group? Don't be shy. Is there anything that anybody else would like to share from my group? My team, don't be shy. No, I think this was a really great conversation, and you answered so many things, even for myself, that I didn't even realize. So I appreciate that. Just a few reminders that if students are ready to apply, please submit your application. We are on the Common App or our own Niagara University app. Also important things to remember that FAFSA financial aid opened up October 1st, so things to keep in mind. Also, students, if you are interested in visiting campus, right now we have postponed in-person visits, hoping to start those up again back after the holidays. But we are offering virtual visits. So if you want to connect with your admissions counselor, please feel free to reach out to them. Each counselor is assigned to a specific school. So just feel free to reach out to the Office of Admissions, and we will connect you with individuals that represent your school and answer any specific questions that you guys have. Is there anything else before we leave? Yeah, go ahead, Dr. Butera.
I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing her name right. Is it Mylan?
It's Malin.
Malin, sorry about that.
Right.
Malin gets the prize as she correctly identified RNA technology as the tool that was used to build 2 COVID-19 vaccines, and it's never been done before. I shouldn't say that. It's been done in the lab, and the technology's been around, but to actually take it from the bench to obviously rodent testing and then different phases of clinical testing in humans is really, I'm just kind of a science nerd, but that's really amazing. So that's really cool. So my advice to the students, and I often give this at open houses, what to do before you go to college: read, and not like read, posts on Facebook or Twitter. Actually read a book, or short of that, magazines, things of that sort, something of substance. So Malin, is that it? Did I get it right again? Or Malin.
You got it right.
She's obviously been reading or getting RNA technology from somewhere, because that's not, you know, common
I've
knowledge
just
yet.
been like, because with COVID and stuff, there's been so much news about the vaccine. I was kind of curious, like what it's all about. So
Yeah.
Good for you. I think this has stemmed an interest with everybody, frankly, in the science field, even though you might not have been interested in before. I think everybody has become interested in it during this time. Well, if nobody else has any other questions, feel free again to reach out to us if you do, if you can't think of anything now. But I want to thank you guys for joining us this evening and hope to see you on campus or again on here soon. Have a good night, everybody.